It's the end of the world as we know it, and I feel 6 o'clock to the hour. Hell.
Welcome to the premiere episode of Across State Lines. I am one of your hosts out of the three, Austin Skinner, joined with me, as always, moving forward, Joe Sweet, Screech Monroe. We are across state lines. I am in Ohio. It is blazing hot, but not nearly as hot, I'm sure, as it is in Florida. And Screech, you live in New York, so nobody cares about the weather there anyway. Gentlemen, how in the hell are you?
Well, thank you for the warm and kind reception. Screech, hello. How are you, my friend? Good to see you as always.
Ditto.
Yeah, perfect.
As you guys can see, Screech is going to be a huge asset to this podcast. You guys are going to really enjoy it.
He's the guy that we rely on when we're in a tough situation. He can bail us out.
Right. Oh, yeah.
No
My
problem at all.
Dude.
If I was ever going to jail, he's the guy that I would call to bail.
No, I'd forget you had a court date.
Yeah, he'd be trying to pick up a banana phone to fucking get your call. So you know.
It's like you see it in a scary movie. You have all the weapons on the counter, and Screech would go for the banana.
Right.
You know, that's exactly how it would be. But that's
Right.
Screech for you. But anyway, no. Appreciate the introduction. Yes, this is the premiere of Across State Lines, and as Austin said, I am Joe Sweet. I am here in Florida, sunny, hot, humid Florida, though it does seem to rain every single night. So I will give it that. But that is the weather here. And, you know, Screech, as Austin said, nobody really does care much about the New York weather. But, you know, how in the hell are you? You know?
It's hot as balls in Syracuse.
No way.
Yeah, dude. This
You had a heat wave, didn't you?
Sucked. It's been nothing but like humid at 90, almost 100 degrees every day, dude.
Holy shit.
Yeah. That is.
And there's not.
I thought it was hot here.
No.
I think the problem,
like,
yeah, I think the problem is here is it's just so damn humid. I can stand the heat, you know, if it's like 80, 90 degrees, but when that humidity's such high up, you're just kind of like, all right, you don't want to go outside and do anything at all.
Yeah, it's brutal for sure.
And Screech, you were saying I cut you off. I apologize.
Yeah, go ahead.
I was just gonna say it's hot. But yeah, it's just Screech Monroe. I don't know. I got nothing really.
Well, so to touch on essentially what we're doing here, the premise kind of began as, well, we want it to be as casual as possible. Three friends trying to get connected a little bit more often. Originally, we all started in New York State. Two of us were smart enough to go ahead and leave that state. One of us not so much.
Get the hell out of there.
But, you know, it's one of those situations where it's just been too long, and we're going too long without speaking to each other, especially in a group setting. I mean, I talk to these guys individually relatively regularly, but as far as to be able to sit down and really treat it like old times where we were all able to sit in the same room and bullshit around has been long overdue. So that was one of the inspirations behind it. The other being the unique asset of now that we all are in separate states. So there's got to be a dynamic there that we could kind of tie together. And maybe, Joe, you can explain that a little bit better about what our actual idea for the episodes is going to be moving forward.
Yeah, I think that, and then to touch on what you said was, you're right. You know, to be able to talk on the regular, you know, but now being able to do it on a more frequent basis, you know, where it's not just send a quick text, hey, here we are,
right?
You know, but it's just something that I think we've all talked about primarily. I mean, I've brought this up multiple times, and a lot of it, you know, it's just fallen on me. You know, things get busy, life happens, you know, but I felt that with this move, you know, with the big change in scenery, the change in lifestyle, you know, why not really just let loose, focus on the things that are most important to you. And one of those is the connections between, some wonderful friends that I've known for a very long time. But
Right.
the real point and the real premise of I think what we were doing, we want to do, is essentially is we are each in three different areas of this wonderful country. You have
Mm-hmm.
Austin in Ohio, you have Screech in the Big Apple up in New York State, and then here I am, down in a little town called Wamama, Florida, that you've never heard of, you probably can't find it on a map. But that's the best part about it. But we said, okay, what's going to set us aside from everything else, because you get all these other podcasts where they're talking about X, Y, and Z, this and
Right.
that.
Right.
And I think our idea was that since we are in three different states, is I felt it would be an interesting concept to finding finding a news article, if you will, that you feel in your state is outlandish, it's bad shit crazy, is something that you'd never think of in a million years, or just a story that you heard and that you saw and you were kind of like, you know what? That's a story that I think maybe I want to share. So really the point is that the three of us are going to come up with a story from each of our areas. Now, it doesn't have to be in that specific area, but that state itself. I
Yeah,
could
the
find
each
a story
respective state. Right.
right. I guarantee you there's some crazy ass stories up in New York. Screech knows that. I don't know what's out in Ohio, but I imagine it's a lot of brother sister tap
It's
dancing type of
for the
stuff.
better that you don't know what's
You
going
know,
on out here. It really is.
right. And yeah.
Yeah.
And then out here in Florida, it's people getting arrested on the sidewalk left and right. And oh my God, there's a alligator that's, living on my porch. That's just Florida. But,
Right.
the point is that so we're each going to come up with that story and we're going to share that story amongst ourselves. And from that, we're going to decide, okay, you know what? We're all going to come in agreements and say, this is a story that we want to put on for that week. So say, for example, Screech has a great story in New York that puts us all back in our seat. Like, holy shit, New Yorker chops off head of doll and wears it on penis. That's a story that I would want to friggin' hear about. Okay.
Well, we're
But
not
that's the
specifically looking for stories that are about Screech, but in the state of
exactly.
New
Oh,
York.
right. Yeah. Right.
Yeah.
Progeria stories, whatever the hell you find, we want to share those. We want to hear those. And I'm just gonna take a minute here, and I say this, but like I mentioned that with Screech, him and I always had a thing. I guess it was more me picking on him, to say the least. But I always felt when he was a lot younger, and if you can picture Screech, he's got a full, thick beard right
Well,
now.
they'll see his picture. They'll see
Right,
his
but
picture. He's the one doing the middle finger.
Yeah, you see that picture of
I think I have
Screech,
a
and you're
goatee
like,
in that.
right, yeah, But like Screech, when he used to never have facial hair
Yeah,
at
I
one
used
point in
to.
time.
I can't watch like myself without a facial hair.
Yeah, he used to look like somebody that had progeria, and I'm not going to get into that, but you at home more than welcome to Google what that is.
Right.
But I would I would say that stuff to
Like somebody
Screech,
that
and
got out of I'll switch.
you'll understand. But I look now, and this is Screech's. We were both very immature all them years ago, like 2 years ago.
Still are.
Yeah, last week.
Yeah, last week, yeah, 2 hours ago, yeah.
Yeah.
So and I say it as like Screech has grown up a lot, so I threw
Yeah.
that last jab in there. That's the last jab. I don't think it's fair in today's society to
I'm
talk about somebody like that. So Screech, for all the times I said that, I wasn't sorry then, but I am
Right.
very
Right.
sorry.
We're
But
turning a chapter. We're turning a
but-
page.
but-
Yeah.
I still think you should do it occasionally because it's funny and it's you. It's
Right. Well, I'm also
you're not malicious
I'm tr-
with that stuff.
no,
It's
and
just-
I don't want to
You're
put anything out there and let people know, hey, that's the kind of person I am. I crack jokes. It's probably going to offend some people. Hey, that's the way it is. It's
you're a good-
2025.
good-hearted dude.
You know,
all two of you
Right.
that are listening.
Well, and I'll tell you,
yeah.
that's part of across state lines. We are not only
Mm.
crossing state lines here, we're crossing maybe a couple different lines every now and
Yeah.
again, but that's part of the fun,
Yeah.
right?
Yeah.
But like Joe said, so the basic idea is not only to, stay in touch, talk to each other more often, but to bring these articles to the table. And whoever's article gets picked week to week, they'll be kind of quarterbacking the episode. So, like Joe's example, if there's a doll on a head of a penis in New York, Screech will be quarterbacking that
Right.
episode. So, and vice versa. That's kind of just to give us some guideline going into each episode. By no means does that mean we're not going to talk about anything else, but just to kind of get you in the door, get you comfortable. You get a chance to take your hat and your coat off, and you never know where we will end up.
Right.
But that's the fun of it. So definitely look forward to that. We are aiming for a monthly drop. Right now, we're aiming for the last Friday of every month, starting here in August, moving forward. And who knows? I mean, we didn't want to handcuff ourselves too much with this show, and I think we'll be okay. I think we'll
Yeah.
be able to pump these things out once a month, no problem. I might get sick of Screech and Joe, so there might be a chance or two where we miss a month, but we'll make it up to you guys somehow.
Yeah.
No big deal.
Things will happen, like life will come at us. But for the most part, I think it's just really all of us getting together, talking about something, and going on these rabbit holes and tangents, because I look at it like this. In each one of these articles that we're going to find and that we're going to share, there's definitely going to be something in there that's going to, trigger in your brain like, oh, I know something about that, or I've been in a scenario, or I can explain that. That reminds me of something. So that's really the goal, is that,
Right.
yes, the article is there, but really the whole meat and potatoes of it is just us really kind of understanding it, and probably not even understanding it half the time, because honestly, you never really know,
Right.
but I really think the whole point, is just that we're going to be shooting the shit with each other, man.
Yeah.
We're going to be talking to each other. We're going to be telling you things that, we've probably only ever told each other to a certain degree. We're going to say things that we've never probably even heard each other say before. So I think that's what's going to make it exciting, like it's going to be an adventure, but down to Screech, in Screechville down there, um, you know, what are you trying to get out of this? What's your goal? What are you trying to get out of this with all of us? The same camaraderie me and Austin are sharing, or are you
I
just
love
kind of using this as your
art.
stepping stone to bigger and better things?
No, no, nothing like that. I don't give a shit about any of that. That last part is if that kind of thing ever happened, whatever. But
We
um,
all got to make a pact. We all go together, though. It's not going to be,
yeah,
you know, let's
No, I'm
replace
ditching you
Screech, or
losers.
let's replace.
uh,
Yeah, if I get it, I say, listen, I can do a podcast 10 times better than that. Yeah, forget those sons of bitches. We don't need them, But I think we've all had this idea, and you guys can correct me if I'm wrong, is like, I think we've all wanted, the three of us, to always do something, and
Well, because there's chemistry there, and there always has
yeah,
been. I
that,
mean, go ahead, Screech.
I was just
yeah.
gonna say that's what I feel like a lot of people like get because they'll be like these guys kind of connect with each other
It's
and
natural. We
yeah,
flow. It's not just, yeah.
I think they'll start to get our like relationships the more and then they'll be like, oh, okay, that makes sense. It's not like it's also the creative part of it that I like a lot.
Sure.
Yeah, I mean, podcasts are a huge medium. They're just
Yeah,
continuously growing, and they're going to continue to grow. And that there's so many different things on podcasts. You've got real stories, you have series that have, actors voicing characters, and they're going 2, 3 seasons at a time. My wife, she listens to podcasts a lot when she drives to work and comes home,
Yep.
but
Yep.
she listens to a lot of those, like Mel Robbins is a big one that she listens to, and Mel Robbins, if you know Mel Robbins, she's a very, I would say she's a pretty good motivational speaker when it comes
oh
to her
yeah,
podcast. And, she says some things that you're like, holy shit, she makes a lot of sense. And to see, my wife, to see Christia just, take that and then, use a lot of that in her daily life. That's right there. That shows you the power of just somebody's voice and a medium that they have. So there's definitely a lot of great things that can be accomplished. And there's going to be things like this where we don't know what the hell's going to happen. We're just doing this shit for fun.
Well, and
That's really why we're doing it.
I think that's a good point because, like you and Screech touched on, the connection there, I think, is something that everybody's going to be able to relate to, whether it's your friends from, back in the day, or it's your brothers that you maybe don't talk to as much as you should. Hopefully, we're going to be a podcast for you that helps fill that gap. We don't plan to go super long with these things, so easily on a drive back and forth to work on a lunch break is kind of what we're aiming for. But again, yeah, I think that's a good point that you both brought up. That's we want it to be a casual, like you listen to it and it's like, oh my God, it's over already.
Yeah.
That's the goal.
Yeah.
So, do we want to get into the backstory a little bit, guys? How we met, how each other kind of knew each other? Because really, I mean, as like an umbrella statement, Joe's kind of the link where both Screech and I coincide because without Joe, I don't know Screech and vice versa. He doesn't know me without Joe. So I guess we should probably start.
Sorry about that.
Yeah. From the beginning somewhere, I guess what, Joe and I, prior to Screech joining the frickin' picture and ruining it.
To blow each
Thanks
other
a
in the
lot.
alleyway.
Thanks a lot.
Yeah, we used to blow
asshole.
each other in the alleyway, but even
Yeah, 'cause we reach
before
around here
that,
and
before that, I mean,
High
what?
school, man.
Yeah, high school.
And it all started for our love of professional wrestling. I think that's what
Right.
it really stems down to,
Oh.
like backyard wrestling at its finest. Another side to us that not a lot of you all know is each one of us here come from a career in backyard wrestling.
Oh God.
Yeah, and trust me, we will talk about that. You will hear about that. ROA Wrestling on YouTube. Check it out,
Oh God.
and it gives you a whole different side of us. And maybe you can guess who's who on there.
I'm sure they fucking did, buddy.
Just listen
But
to oh shit, hey dude. Just listen to
There
that.
you go.
you
To
know who
see, you
that
know
is.
who he
Yeah.
is.
Yeah, just look for the guy that has dildo written on his forehead. You'll know exactly who we're talking about. And by the way, you're not going to know which one of us it is here in the podcast. You probably can figure it out already.
Yeah, I think they can figure it out.
Yeah, but it started from that as like we wanted to get Austin so much involved, man, and you're just so hesitant to do it, And
I
there was a
was.
larger group.
Yeah.
Like I knew Austin through, this friend of mine named Dallas, and then, Dallas knew some of my other friends, mutual acquaintances, and we all had this love of pro wrestling. And I started wrestling in a backyard at my friend Jeremy's house in like 2006. It was four
Right.
of us on a little VHS recorder.
Yeah, I
It's-
remember those videos.
I don't even know where those are now. And then transition, 2010 now, mind you. So we're going back 10 years, more than 10 years here, and
I hate to say it, Joe, but it's 15, buddy.
right. That's why I said more than 10. I
Yeah.
didn't want to say 15 because it makes
I
me
know,
feel much
I
older.
know.
I think we stopped doing ROA almost 10 years ago.
Yes, that's correct.
2016 we
Yep.
stopped.
Yep.
And it's wild that we did it for so long, but 2010 to 2016, and I mean, you know what, we'll talk about that. We'll explain, get in more details about ROA. But long story short, that's kind of what led Austin into this too, is that I really wanted him to be a part of it, and he was hesitant, and he can explain to you why he was hesitant.
Yeah,
but-
and it was one of the deals where, again, Dallas was more so the friend of that group, and I was like an outsider friend that he had known since childhood. So Dallas kind of started bringing me around a little bit, and group setting in high school, there's probably 10 or 12 guys at one lunch table, so it was naturally a little intimidating. But what Joe Sweet fails to mention to our listening audience is Joe Sweet was known to be a little bit of a, and you guys are going to be shocked, but a little bit of a verbal bully.
Hard to
Joe
believe.
would, Joe would.
Hence the example that I started the damn show
Yeah.
with already. So,
Yeah,
okay.
so Joe
Was
would,
a bully. Let's just say was.
A reformed bully.
Well, yeah, well, that
I'm a
remains to
born
be
again
seen.
bully.
Yeah. So needless to say that the I can specifically remember the first morning that I kind of joined up with like talking with the group before the first bell for, the first period started or whatever.
Is this when we were hanging out by the gym?
Yep, this was over by the gym doors, and it was like it wasn't the whole group. It wasn't all 12 people, but it was probably 5 or 6 at least. And I can just remember how much of a character Joe was, and I could easily see how this is going to go one of two ways. Either I am going to fucking hate this guy or we're going to get along really well. It was going to go one of two ways because Joe
Yeah.
and I are very similar in the sense that I think we think very quick on our feet.
Mhm.
And for most, high schoolers, that can be intimidating because most high
Yeah.
schoolers don't think quick on their feet.
You're not thinking about that. You're thinking about having a good time, hitching up with girls and all that. And it was like, and I was like thinking, it's high school. I'm having fun, my
Right.
priorities are having fun with people, like I'm not, but I'm also a realist at that point, like I got to think about it, I got to adapt. I got to think quick. But yeah, that's a good point. Never really heard that before. So,
Yeah, and so Joe was one of the guys where I knew maybe even subconsciously that it was going to be a little bit of a competition because Joe and I both aren't afraid to make public fools of ourselves or make public fools of other people for a laugh. Um
should
and
have just got
that's
off the horse.
yeah, exactly. So that's kind of where I got into the fold. Like Joe mentioned, I started attending lunch with these guys, joining that table. Luckily, I think Joe respected the fact that I didn't back down from his barbs and usually gave them right
Mhm.
back. And if not the same level, a little bit more harsh. So
Yep.
I think it worked out well, needless to say, because a lot of those guys, I'd say 90% of them, neither of us talk to anymore out of that 12
Yeah, yeah.
guys or
What,
whatever.
what you're seeing here, is that's the three of us, and then there's, also like mentioned Dallas.
Sure.
I don't talk to Dallas as much on the regular, but when him and I do have conversation, it's, hey, did you see this about wrestling? Or, oh, hey, hope everything's going well. There was a disconnect,
Right.
with some of that group, and I try to mend some of those fences. Some of those fences I don't want to mend, but there's a majority of them where you're like, okay, these people aren't so bad. I was as Austin said, I was a bully, and I look back at it now, and it's kind of like, maybe not the best course of action, but it also leads us to where we are. But yeah, it was definitely he wasn't gonna back down, and I knew, okay, finally somebody here to feed off of and somebody to kind of just
Well, because if not,
join that
Joe,
with.
if
Yeah.
not, you were going to steamroll over people. I mean, in a sense that, like, in a friend group, fun. You know what I mean? You're going to,
Yeah.
if somebody can't give it back to you, you're going to roll right over them. And it's just
Yeah.
like, at that point, you're the butt of the joke. And I knew I wasn't going to be the butt of the joke.
Yeah.
So
And then we
that
made
was
it.
part of it.
And then
Um,
we made, to us now, then when you got us together, and I'm thinking of something and he's thinking of something, and it's like, who's ever on the other end of that, good luck, get the hell out of the way,
right.
because you don't have a comeback for that. And same thing with Screech, you throw Screech in the mix. We'll say something intelligent as hell. Screech will say something dumb as shit, but you're like, what, that makes perfect sense. We're gonna go with his idea,
And sometimes
because
Screech
it's
cuts deep to the bone.
yeah, yeah, he can say some things that, when you hear from him, you're kind of just like, did that just come out of Screech Monroe's voice?
Yeah, it's a shell
That's
shock
not his government
sometimes.
name, by the way. That's not the
Not
government
on my
name there.
government name yet.
Yeah,
Right.
but that's something that I don't know him any other way, but I think it's a good segue into Screech, because with the way it was with Austin is, like I said, he came into that, and he came in and he was part of that group. But as everybody kind of started to fall out, him and I, we kept with each other because of that, the camaraderie, because we know, okay, we get along, we're think on our feet quickly, like he was the best man at my wedding,
Yeah.
and like it's things like that, you know. And Screech was in my wedding, and let's say that some of those that were in that wedding party with maybe the handful of one or two,
Right.
I can honestly say that I talk to on a consistent basis, and the other ones that I don't, hey, you know, that's not my decision. That's a choice that happened, and I'm okay with that. You know, like
Right.
I came down to Florida and I started fresh, man. That's the goal here. Is I came down here and I was like, listen, if you were really going to be there, you're really going to be that friend forever, you'd still be there. You know,
Sure.
so it makes a lot. So you see that, you know, this is the core, and you know, I know there will be backlash. Those people who say, well, you didn't commit to that, whatever the case. You say what you will. I know on my side the truth about everything, and that's the way we go about it. But no ill will to any of them. Everybody had a place in my life. Everybody had a special place. So I will always care for them, even though I'm
Yeah, and
not as
that's
close to
life,
them.
man. I mean, that's
You know,
life.
Yeah.
I
People
would
come and go.
still, right. If one of them got into touch, said, "Hey, you know, how's everything going?" I'll entertain the conversation. You know, we'll try to mend those fences, but it's not priority number one to me, you know,
Right.
but I think that's the way it is there's a lot of camaraderie here. You know, the three of us, everybody will always say, oh, if Joe's not with Screech, he's with Austin. If Joe's not with Austin, he's with Screech. That's how it always has been. That's how it
Right.
always was, you
Right.
know, but
Drive. Everyone was like, I would always drive with Joe. Like everyone.
Always.
Yeah.
Always.
mhm. Yeah, and I think it just goes to show is that, you know, the comfortability, like Screech knows, okay, I get along with Joe very well, you know, like but Screech is a guy that, I mean, you can put him with anybody and he'll try to be your friend, but Screech will also tell you right to your face, like, hey, you know
But
what?
that's something that
I
we
don't care
all
for you.
three respect. We
And
all
that's what
three
I like.
respect
Yeah,
that we're going to make fun and have fun, but we're also going to call you on your shit. And
right.
it's
You know,
only out of I think a mutual respect in that
right.
sense that we're not going to allow each other to
Mhm.
sugarcoat anything. And I
Yeah,
think
like
that's important.
yeah, I'm a forgiving guy. I'm an easygoing guy. You know, like I always give somebody a second, third, fourth, fifth chance, you know, but I'm also the type where I'm not gonna, you know, come on here. I'm not gonna dish somebody's dirty laundry. That's your private business. I'll tell you my feelings. I'll tell you how I feel, but I'm not gonna mention who you are. I'm not gonna mention things like that. You know, it's just not the point here. You know, the point is to just say, hey, you know what? And that's the kind of thing is that's part of the story where it goes off on that. That's the point of what's going to happen here is we're going to talk about something. It's going to trigger X, Y, and Z.
Sure.
You know, but bringing it down, looping Screech in finally, you know.
Yeah, so to
Uh,
kind of wrap my end of it up, yeah, so Joe and I meet in high school. We it went one way or the other. Luckily, it was a positive direction. And I think Screech's portion of the story, what, Joe starts in college at that point because he didn't go to our high school.
I was a completely different person then.
he
Like
was.
I was a very like awkward and said the stupidest shit. I still do get, but like a lot worse. Like I think I've
S-
come into my own a little bit more. Let me.
Definitely. You're not the same kid you were
I
in
hated it. I
2010
hated the
when I
kid. I
met
felt
you in
bad for him.
college.
I felt bad for that kid.
Screech, you may have a different
I
interpretation, but one
didn't.
of my
So
favorite stories
go
is
ahead.
the story that I tell of how I met Screech Monroe.
No
It's
boy.
probably changed 7 or 8 times since I've told it, but you know, the true the you know J True Hollywood story here, you know, the Joe True Hollywood story is that going to OCC, which is a community college, I'm going to school to get my degree in electronic media communications. And the only reason I joined that school was because I wanted to do some acting and I didn't want to go to SU. It was expensive and they had a drama department. And I went to orientation and
Yeah.
saw the drama club and I said, I'm going here. And that was honestly the one of the biggest reasons why I chose that school because like, holy shit, this is a packed auditorium. I don't think it's going to be packed all the time like this, but people are going to see me up there.
Hmm.
So, you know, I get in there, you know, and I go there and I find out there's a drama club meeting, room F185. And if any of you have ever been to OCC in New York, you know, that room is synonymous with drama club. That's, you know, I believe what F is Ferrante Hall, isn't that what F
Still
Yeah,
is?
remember the name?
Is it
There's the
still the
number. I
same?
mean,
It's still the same, I would
I'm
think, right?
pretty sure.
F 140
Yeah.
55.
We were F185, remember?
85. Oh, I didn't remember that at
You
all.
don't remember? That was the name of the production company that they started after. Remember we did those two plays?
Yeah.
It was F185 Productions.
Hmm.
But long story short, I'm going in there and this guy, okay, comes up. And now mind you, this is no glasses.
Right.
Screech, nobody can see you now, but if Screech took his head off right
I have
now,
blue glasses.
Screech is bald as shit. Okay. He's got maybe a
Not then,
speckle of
though.
hair up there. But back then, Screech had luscious blonde hair. I shit
Yeah.
you not.
Crazy.
Died
And
and burnt to death because
yeah,
they let it sit way too fucking long.
and he had on this red and black flannel jacket. And we were walking to the drama club meeting, and this son of a bitch in that jacket walks in front of me, cuts me off, and I say to myself, if I ever see this son of a bitch again, I'm gonna tell him exactly how I fucking feel. So what happens, right? I walk into the fucking meeting, and there's that son of a bitch sitting there, and I said, holy fuck, this guy's going to the same place I'm going. And
Yeah, nowhere.
right away, wait, what did you say? What did you say?
Nowhere. I said nowhere.
Yeah. Yeah, this guy's going no place, Wherever he's going, they don't need roads, okay? And all they need is a padded room with four walls and he'll be happy in there.
Yeah.
And it was the thing that Austin mentioned in the respect is like, okay, you know what? This guy must have similar interests like me. This guy must, like to act, and Screech would be the first one to tell you that he doesn't think he's very good. But
I
I
think
have seen
I'm
Screech.
good at playing certain characters.
I've seen Screech act, and it is really not terrible. The Screech. What was the first play we did?
Dog Sees God. Actually, it's my
Sees
favorite
God.
role ever.
Because you weren't there you didn't come in 2010, right? Did you show anything?
I took a semester off. Yeah.
I started in 2010 in the Crucible. So I had already been in the drama club meetings, but this was, the new class of drama club. And also, I don't know, Screech, you can attest to this. Wasn't our director there in full drag or co-director there in full drag day one?
I don't remember that.
You do?
I don't.
Yeah, I remember walking in and I saw that you seeing you, one thing is like, oh, this guy's boiling my blood already.
Great, another guy dressed in drag.
And then you get up there and then you've seen our director. And at that point, I'm this is a different time, people.
Oh,
This
yeah.
is 2011.
Yeah, for sure.
You're getting in there and I'm thinking like, what is this? What did I walk into? But didn't bother me, didn't give me a shit. I look at it like this, you know what? Hey, that's who that, person is. That person's comfortable. Be you, be your thing. I'm thinking maybe
Right.
this is part of the play is what I was thinking. And maybe this is something for the drama club. But then you come to learn with these people and you grow with them and you're like, these are some pretty badass, cool people. You're a person. This is the life that you love and you're happy with. By all means, I support you 100% of the time. I don't care. Now views may have been different back then, I think for everybody, but it's 2025 now. And I'm the type where it's like, listen, this is your life. You are who you are. You're happy with yourself. You're comfortable. You do your thing. I'm going to be your friend. I'm going to support you and I'm going to respect your, the way you want to be treated and respected because that's how we got to be. But long story short, anyway, is like Screech, you came into to Dog Sees God. That was the play. Yeah.
Yeah, I got really lucky. So the dude I was like the secondary guy. I forget what they call that. But
The understudy, just like me.
Understudy,
Yeah.
that's it. And the dude got like mono. So I got to be the character for like 3 shows instead of just the one that I was gonna get. And
Yeah.
didn't you actually get like to just
Yes.
because
So
powders?
I heard the same thing is that the main actor that had the role. So when I audition, I don't audition for a specific role in mind. I'm just auditioning because that's what I want to do. You could put me in the background and I'll make sure that people see me back there. That's not a problem. You'll know who I am.
Right.
But so yeah, I auditioned for this show and I'm just so giddy. I'm like, this is play number 2. I already did the Crucible. I had decent reviews for the Crucible. Don't Google them. You won't find them anywhere. You'll just find them probably all sent by me. online, but
Just
a lot of good,
face on other
yeah.
people's picture.
Exactly. A lot of good reception, and that was one of the first times I ever did a large play. So you had the acting bug had bit me in the ass more thoroughly then. And so it's play number two, it's Dog Sees God, Confessions of a Teenage Blockhead. Basically think of the Peanuts gang adapted into high school. So think of that as you will. I don't want to spoil it too much because if you get a chance to ever see it. I will say OCC's version was a little bit watered down because there were things that we couldn't do
Sure.
that we really
Wait,
wanted to
really?
do. And
What?
yeah, so
Oh, you
one,
can't
okay,
say
I'll
that.
give you one, no spoiler. But according to what I remember in the script for the play
Does he put
was
it in your
that
paper? Is that like part of the?
no,
Uh,
there was a remember how the character dies in the play. It's a major spoiler there, sorry. But
whoop.
somebody dies, remember?
Yeah.
And the scene that they cut was the overdose scene, is what they cut.
Well, he actually. Oh, I didn't know that he actually. They that in the play he actually dies. Like I just
Yes.
thought it was like we talk
Of
about.
course, I could very well be wrong, but I am very sure
They did
in
a
the
good job in
script
it then.
is that that they didn't let us really show a majority of that.
Mm,
So, but anyway, it's college again. It's OCC. It's college. You got to follow
right.
certain rules. I get it. You're still we have to respect everybody, but
Fall Fest is
like,
a bit much though.
huh?
Making us say Fall Fest. Remember that? Like
Oh
we did
yeah.
the play like to get people ready for school,
Well,
and we had
remember
to say Fall
intentionally
Fest
what
instead of like
intentionally what we did is
Thanksgiving.
what did we do? Didn't we would
You
intentionally
guys
turn our
like
head
kind
to the
of
audience?
like you were like Fall Fest, like overacted it a little bit.
She hated it. Yeah, because she said, "Hey, we can't say Thanksgiving. We have to say Fall Fest because it's
Oh, yeah.
more, at the time. Okay, whatever.
Inclusive, you know.
Inclusive, right? Thank you. So we were all rebelled. We were like, this is stupid. Like, this is come on now. So anytime that we'd have to say to the script, a lot of us would turn our heads to the audience. We'd be like, Fall Fest, Fall Fest. And then we would say it so obnoxiously. And that's something that we just it was just what we did. But that was the camaraderie, and that's camaraderie. We all agreed on that. But yeah, Screech, you came in and you were the understudy, and then the character that I auditioned for, CB, Charlie Brown, in case you didn't know what CB um, was basically the same thing. I was scheduled for one show out of four. So I was told that the lead actor also got mono, and that's why he had dropped
Gave
out.
it, yeah, he gave it to the guy that I was
Okay,
understudying. I
Wow.
think they're like really good friends, and he got
but
it
I
the
yeah,
day before we did the play. He had to be out of it.
it's so crazy.
Yeah,
Honestly.
so I had to memorize because I didn't fucking pay attention or memorize anything.
Because I had heard that one of the actor that had been in front of me, I think I had heard stuff, and it was probably just people were saying it around, cast and crew was just kind of like, that in the play it calls for some things that aren't very kosher to some people's lives, and I heard that it was cold feet also,
Hmm.
that he got a little bit of cold feet. I'm not going to spoil what happened because I gave you a little trickle of what happened. Believe me, there's so much depth to this play. It was one of the best plays I ever did just because of the tone of it, the character was different, but like, yeah, that's how I come in the fold to meet Screech. And
Now, was your guys' first interaction like I don't know, rehearsing lines, or did you
I don't
guys?
want to say it wasn't kosher because it was, but he was a lot like better with uh another dude that was in the play. Like they were a lot more like closer because like so back then I kind of was like it was hard to make friends and stuff for me back then.
When I first met you, you were very shy.
Yeah,
I'm
big time.
it's like I'm still like a quiet person. A lot of like I'll joke around, but I like to be like quiet because I just like it.
Sure.
But I think I was a little bit more awkward and stuff, and I didn't really fully know who I was or how to be who I am. If that makes
Right.
sense. I didn't
Right.
even know anything about myself.
Yeah.
I was like 20, so but so I was kind of like the guy who would just like make an ass of himself a little bit. and
So me and Joe.
and you just walk away
Fits
like, oh,
perfect.
why did I do that? Like beat myself up way too much.
Yeah.
Yeah, and I think that was the thing is like our interaction really, I don't really remember honestly our first interaction. Like I feel like it was just we I was hanging out with I don't want to the other
Your
party
co-star.
knows exactly who we're referring to, and we'll leave it at that. A great relationship with that person. We're gonna say John Doe. Okay, we'll go with that, and wonderful person, I would say. Things that, didn't see eye to eye with us, didn't really line up very much. I don't know if it was the power struggle type of thing. Definitely the vibe had felt like that. And I don't know if you can attest to that, Screech, is like
I
I do
don't talk
remember a
to
lot.
him anymore either.
Right, but
I
you remember a lot of the comments that were like, oh, I should have been lead, or this person should have been lead for these exams. There was, in our industry, people aren't gonna like the choices that are
people just
casted, and
have to
that's
learn.
fine.
They have to learn how to be
You
humble.
know, I
Yeah.
felt they must have felt that
Yeah.
I was right. They must have felt that I was right for that role. And let me tell you, I'm sure anybody could have taken on that role, but I made it me. I made it myself, and I would have loved to seen other people's interpretations, but that's just not the way that it was. So, but yeah, you're right. I was closer to that party, and then you were there too. You just kind of
I
you fit yourself
slowly
in,
came
man.
up to the plate. Yeah, I think
You can go ahead.
I think when you started like giving me rides and stuff, that's when we really started to
Oh.
click. I
And we
think
were hanging out a lot, He was hanging out with a girl that he really liked, well, I don't see
Wait, are
that's
we
the thing.
talking about the one from the job?
These no, these timelines get a little construed because it's so long ago, but
Well, sure. Yeah.
said party was really involved with somebody, and it was that core group. What was it? Remember, it was the three of us. They labeled us the B3 is what it
Mhm.
was. You remember that?
Yeah,
So
yeah,
there was three of us in that group, and then you were the kind of guy you came in. You were there by association.
yeah. I
You
was
know,
like, I feel like I was like the Joe Pesci, and you guys were like Mel
we
Gibson.
were Danny Glover and
You're the weapon for the people that
Mel
don't.
Gibson,
Yeah.
and then
Yeah.
Be
the
the
other
weapon
one was
two to
the
four.
well, it would be the one which one had Rene Russo?
Is that the one where she drowned? Spoiler, she drowned.
No, I was pretty
The
sure it
third
was
one and
Mel
the fourth
Gibson's
one
girl.
too. Yeah,
Mel Gibson's girl.
she gets pregnant, right? Her, that
I
one.
don't listen, man. I have not seen Lethal Weapon in quite a while
Just
here,
watch
but
those. Nothing.
whatever the case is, that yeah, you kind of just you hung around, you stuck around. But I've said this about you before. You can interject yourself in any group of people, man. Like you can bring you find a way to connect with somebody. No matter who it is, you'll find a way to connect to them, man.
Well, and I guess maybe that's a good point for me to jump in here because, like Joe prefaced kind of toward the beginning of the conversation, I met Screech once he joined up in our backyard wrestling thing that we did. And my initial thoughts were, where did Joe find this specimen? Because,
Craigslist post.
This random
yeah, right,
looking guy.
right,
Rent a friend. Yeah.
right.
I
Well,
it,
because
it,
Joe, you have like a unique ability to attract people around you as far as like,
No, that's always a
attract the
good thing.
hey,
outside cat that's supposed to stay outside that's flea bitten.
yeah, and it's like, oh, but you can't help but to pet him. You know what I mean?
Right. Hey, pretty girl, pretty
So, like,
girl.
our
Yeah.
other
Mm.
mutual friend, Bob, is another good example that Joe
Bobo.
met at
He lost a lot of
school.
weight. If he's listening to this, good for you.
Yes, he has. But
Haven't
that's
seen
another
Bob in forever.
similar case where Joe brings him in. We all meet him. It's so funny the way that works is like Joe used our backyard wrestling as almost a conduit to introduce people to each other, and like he's somehow always at the center of that. But and so that leads me back to when I met Screech. Like I said, I thought he came off as very quiet,
Hmm.
maybe not so super interested in the wrestling that we were
Oh,
doing, but was a fan before
no,
of pro
I
wrestling.
wasn't a fan the whole time we were. I think if I like was like I didn't become a fan. I like so I was a fan up
Old
until
school.
my ninth grade year.
Yeah.
Like it got
ECW fan over
predictable
here.
shit. I do like ECW, but I watched a lot of WWE when I was like younger, but like it
Sure.
got predictable, so
Right.
I wasn't interested. It was more of a way to hang out with people. That's why I
And
went.
and I think that's where we kind of connected because I too was a lapsed fan for a lot of the time that we
Yeah.
wrestled in the
I
backyard.
was in an in and out. It was an in and out phase.
Yeah, of
So this was
course.
what 2010. So you're thinking,
Well,
you know,
Screech
we're
didn't
getting
come
in.
in 2010.
Oh, that's right. When
I
did
was
you
like
when
12 or
yeah,
13.
so okay,
12,
so you're in the
I
PG era at that
think.
time. It's getting real heavy kid focus at that point.
Yeah. Yeah.
So it just to us guys watching since the Attitude Era, and it's like, what is happening here? You know, but yeah, there's that
Yeah.
phase where you just fall out of it, you stop watching it. Yeah.
And that was kind of a point where I could talk history a little bit with somebody because a lot of the guys that we wrestled with were WWE loyalists, I would say, that, only focused on the current product as far as that time period. And I mean, I'd bring up guys like Macho Man Randy Savage, and people would look at me like I had three eyes. Like, what is this guy talking about from the fucking 80s? So
Right.
Screech was a
Everybody's talking
nice
about yeah,
historian to bring in so we
yeah.
could, connect on that level. But what I remember most about really some of the early trio memories between the three of us is Funkin' Waffles and
That's where I
going to
feel like I met
watch.
you. That's where I met you, right?
I
And then
think one of our
we
very
both
first
got, like,
meetings, yeah, you were getting ready to
Everybody.
go up on
my
stage.
set, and I was like,
Screech didn't tell anybody here. Screech, tell the folks at home, what is it that you love to do the most? How did we really,
well, I don't know if it's
start
something I like
connecting
to
a
do
lot?
the most because I think it's always going to be creativity first, before anything. But I do stand up. I like to do stand up comedy, like, and like when I used to do it though, it was like different person again. Like who I am now is
Exactly.
like a little bit more
Screech
confident.
is,
I was
I will say
not
this.
confident at all. Like
You
Yeah.
can find some old Screech stand-up clips on
it's one on
YouTube.
mine, and it's terrible.
Uh, it is fantastic. Let's be real here.
But like
Um,
before, I wouldn't get booked for anything, and now I'm just like, oh, I get booked here and there. I like a
and
lot.
again, that's the maturity. Like you've grown. You're not
Yeah.
I think if anybody, I feel like you're one of probably out of the three of us, maybe sometimes you're the
I
most
think
grown
you've grown
up.
a lot, dude. Like you've shown like a lot of
Guys, it's not
maturity.
always about me. Come on now.
Like and see, like the way you're talking and stuff about like how to handle certain situations. It's not coming from a naive person. It's coming from a person who's
Yeah, I
matured and
think
learned
it's
from past things that
I've
happened to you. That's
Well,
a
Joe's had to learn a lot of hard lessons.
I've learned a lot of, and you know what? I'm gonna always learn them, but I
yeah.
look, I'm not in, I don't ever intend to piss anyone off. I don't ever intend to do anything that shouldn't be, but I'm also the type where I'm gonna say something and if I don't like it, I'm gonna address it, I mean, and if it does offend somebody, just know it's not offended directly at you. At said person, it is just that's my opinion, and that's how I feel, But I'm respectful. I don't
Right.
treat my first impression is I don't look at somebody and say I'm going to label and judge that because it's not,
It used to be.
it used to be, but now it's like, holy shit,
People
I
cut them
want to give
off,
somebody a
dude, but
chance. Right. Because
Yeah.
you never really know who the hell you're going to talk to. That person that I meet on the street, I may run into that person in a situation when I need help. And did I create a good enough first impression? Was I respectful enough the first time? Because you never really know. And I think that's
something like a great friendship or something like that too. Like
right.
the
I
person
mean,
said something.
and that's what it is. But I mean, thinking about it, as Screech was saying too, is like, the camaraderie. And I think that's really what it boils back down to is that we each get along with each other because we found something that interests each of us,
Mhm.
whether it's the same thing or something completely different. My love of movies stemmed to Screech
Sure.
because I'm at Screech in drama class,
Oh, dude, I'm a huge
Screech's love of,
joke. Not a
yeah,
joke, but I am.
no, I get it. Screech's love of reignition of pro wrestling came from us, and Austin's love of, different things as far as this culture, you know. I mean, he loved movies
Music.
before,
Screech and I
but
share a lot of music
right.
tastes that I couldn't talk to anybody there else about, but Screech would be like, "Holy shit, I
Are you
love."
all into like dubstep at that point or something?
Oh
Yeah,
my
but even
God,
like
they all were.
Megadeth, like Screech would talk to me about
Mm.
I love
Megadeth.
Megadeth, dude.
Nobody's gonna talk to
Tiring,
me
by the
about
way. Did you
that.
see that?
Yeah.
That's good.
Yes.
Yeah,
Um.
there's definitely a lot of eclectic personalities
Oh
Yeah.
yeah.
that we all knew through the backyard wrestling. Some that you're kind of like, all right, you know,
Yeah. That
this is
guy
different.
survived a car crash. Yep.
Yeah, right. You know,
We'll
and we're
have to
not
do a
going to get
whole
in.
episode on that or
We'll have
something.
to.
We're gonna have to
And
do that, please.
we'll say the specifics, and you know what? Hey, maybe if we're lucky enough, we can bring on some of the old friends.
Oh
But I
God.
say that very limitedly. I would probably really, you know what?
We'd
I'd
have to
welcome
bail
any of
half
them.
of them out of jail
That's
first.
true. I'd welcome any one of them to come and talk to us because it'd be just great to shoot the shit and share the stories. You
Yeah.
know what I mean? And let the
Yeah.
bygones be bygones. I'm over all of that shit
Yeah, we're too
now.
old for
Like,
that shit. Yeah.
I'm
Yeah,
way too
yeah.
old. You
And
know what?
honestly,
Like,
dude, really, I would say 90% of those memories are some of the best ones that I have. I mean, the
yes, yeah.
laughs and
The when we would go out to eat all the time, that was some of the
oh
best.
my God.
Yeah.
Right.
Jesus,
Right.
Buffalo
Well,
Wild
and
brings
I
me
guess
always back
that's
to that.
another good way that we all would bond because after these wrestling shows that we would do on the weekends, a select few of us would kind of hang around and stay at Joe's house.
Yeah.
Eventually, it got down to us three would always be together, and we'd go on our notorious car rides through downtown Syracuse.
Dallas would tag along a lot too.
Yep, Dallas would
Yeah,
sometimes, Mike Westcott would sometimes tag
Yeah.
along.
there's a name drop right there.
But it would turn into an all day thing where we just
Yeah,
couldn't
it was an
end the
event.
hangout, you
You
know?
look forward, you look forward to Sundays. I look
Oh,
at it
God.
like that.
When
You
we
Yeah.
would
know,
go
like,
out in public and I still had the face paint and like cuts on my head and shit,
Oh,
like
yeah.
people would
yeah,
just stare at it.
Oh, yeah.
what about when you remember? And I will say this, and we had uh, a Japanese wrestler there. I believe his name is Yushin Dragon, if I'm correct,
Yeah. Yeah.
and very talented artist overall. Really understood the craft,
Mhm.
and there was a time, and this is where to me it felt like, you know, holy shit, was that we would do a show. And then one day there was a little kid across the street from the house. And Yushan Dragon goes out there and has a conversation with this kid. This kid has no idea what in the hell he's saying. I have no idea what in the hell he's saying. It would sound like the same five words. He got,
Yeah.
same thing
Yeah.
every time.
Yeah.
But it was just interesting because, like, you know, that little kid thought that this shit was legit.
Oh, yeah. Oh,
I
yeah.
thought it was legit, and that was to us. We knew it wasn't going to ever go anywhere, and we
Right.
look at it like this: the three of us, and there were people there that really wanted it to be something. We're gonna, you know, remember when we went out that we tried to buy a wrestling ring?
Oh,
How
we were
close
I
we
one
were
day
getting
away.
that.
we
We
were
were
doing,
one day
we were
away,
gonna do
and
it.
I didn't want to drive into New York City,
Yeah. We were
And you
one day away of
that's
buying
and
a
I
pro
don't think
ring.
we trusted one of the other parties to drive into the
No.
city of New York
No.
because we would have had to rent a truck, and that was the kind of stuff that I always did. You know, that was, you
Hmm.
know, let's have Joe take care of that. You know, and I wasn't driving in fucking New York City for a guy. This is, you know, but our bodies are already shot. We're
Oh,
not
God.
professional. We're
Oh,
not going to
God.
get a ring because we're going to have to take the shit down every day. And you damn well know that some of them people were not going to stick
they're
around. Your
gonna
match
try
is
Yeah.
to
done and they
like
take
leave
off,
as soon
you
as the
know?
match is done and shit. Yeah.
Right. Exactly.
But
Exactly.
to sum it all up, essentially, was that, you know, uh, all of these characters, you know, that we met, that we intertwined with, affected us in different ways. And, you
I
know, the
wouldn't
few that
trade
we,
it for anything,
I would
honestly.
not. I
That's
look at
good.
that, and that's some of the best moments of my life were in that time. There's definitely, I had some up and downs there, you
Yeah.
know. There was some rocky road there. Won't get into it. But you know, if you know me, you know that was you know, 2012 and on was a pretty hard time for myself.
Yeah.
But it was these two here, and then, you know, throw Dallas into the mix, throw Bob, you know, there's a very good core. Even throw in people that we had like Michael Jeffrey Thompson, and
The
you
man
had
with
some of the
405 Facebooks.
right. But that's the thing
Yes.
is like
Yes.
people like that stick out to me. Like he sticks out to me because he was another guy that like he's always willing to be somebody's bud, and I commend him for that.
Yeah.
You could always talk to that guy and he'd give you an honest answer. He'd want to talk about it for 6 more years after that. But it's like you think about it like this: great kid.
Yeah.
How he knew that we were going to see Dumb and Dumber 2, I'll still never remember who dropped the ball on that.
Yeah, I don't
But we're
know.
glad that he showed up because he
Didn't he
committed.
dress
That
up as them?
that man came dressed up, and that's what I will say. And I will say this about Michael Jeffrey Thompson: huge shout out to you.
Yeah.
But like you you played your cards and you played them right where everything was. You were given these characters and you rolled with it. You were having
Yeah.
the time of your life,
Yeah.
and that's what our camaraderie is about. We're just having fun as hell. We may suck at half the shit we do. We're
Yeah.
having fun as hell doing it,
Well, and that was
and
the
like
thing. Somehow or another, we gathered all these people from different areas of central New York and
we
different
brought them in.
backgrounds, different
Yeah.
schools, different just
Allergies and stuff.
individuals.
Yeah.
And we were able to put something together where we were all on the same level. We all understood what we wanted to do with it. And we all each enjoyed something different from each other, which I think was cool. And in a way, I mean, and I always say it this way, instead of being out there doing hard drugs, I was in my buddy's backyard fucking doing wrestling shows.
Yeah.
So I think in that sense, especially for the three of us, that bond of a weekly, commitment where you're going to be there for, I don't care if it's a fucking birthday, a holiday. I don't even care if there's snow on the ground. You're going to
You did
be
it.
there
Oh, dude, that was the worst though.
and you're going to show up. And I think that's a good representation of the three of us, regardless of states, regardless of
I
condition.
left in Mattydale area just to go to Joe's, which is
Right.
That's
Screech
just
it would be
there.
like an hour commute or some shit.
on an hour to walk. I would stop at like McDonald's to get breakfast, and then I would just walk.
Th-
Sometimes I'd hang out with Dallas beforehand, but yeah,
Is
Yeah.
that your dog?
yeah.
That's fantastic. No, keep it. Listen, I thought somebody was knocking at your door. Would you order a friggin' pizza over there?
It's the police.
That's downstairs.
Holy shit, the popo. But you're right, and it was that we brought all of these people together that we probably would have never met any
No.
other time.
No.
And everybody came to the house. And I think the biggest person that we need to thank, and I say we wrap up the ROA story, is we need to thank Irene Sweet. We need to thank
God.
the mother
Put
Yeah.
up
because my
so
mother
much
put
shit.
up with so much shit.
Oh God.
From people breaking her deck,
Yep.
to people busting the fence, to people busting
air
the shed
conditioner.
roof,
Or
the air conditioner.
or-
That was one hell of a durable air conditioner.
Oh my
From
God.
back suplexes on there. The people had bled in her backyard.
Yes.
People sweat in her
Broke
backyard.
bones.
I know for a fact, broke bones. I know for a fact people cried in her backyard.
Yeah.
And she was always so cool about it. And Mom, if you're listening, thank you. I don't think you were ever thanked the way you should have been. But I'll leave this here for my sake here, is that from the beginning of our way all the way to the end, every single person that we had come in, whether we remembered you or not, whether we had bad blood or not, each one of you helped shape an aspect of my life now.
Yeah.
And I appreciate that. Whether we got along or we didn't, I can always find something positive in our interactions to say, you know what, that person was pretty good. Or, you know what, that person really wasn't that bad. Maybe I was just a prick. Maybe I did things that you didn't like, and
Right.
and that's it stems back to I was judging you. The apologies are there, you're great people. But some of us weren't all destined to talk for the rest of our lives, and that's okay. Just know that if I ever do get a chance to see these people again, It's going to be, hey, it's so good to see
Chair
you.
shot.
It's
Yeah.
been a while.
Chair
Right.
shot.
Chair shot to the back. You're blading. You
Yeah.
know, like, but
I
it's
remember
stuff
the
like
first
that.
time
It's
I did
like,
it, I think it was on Austin, and I gave it to you the wrong way.
Yes.
Uh,
yeah,
Yes.
yeah.
I did worse.
But
I've given concussions, regretfully.
But that's my part, is that, I put all the bad blood that I had with everybody at ROA. You know who you are. My sincerest apologies. I'm always willing to talk, and you know what, pick things up, because that was a time when I was a different person, and I'm much more changed now. So to all of you there, I feel like I just got to say, hey, you know what? Appreciate all of you. Thank you for making me in helping me become a better person today, for the person that I wasn't yesterday. So appreciate that.
And
But
not only that, I mean, to kind of piggyback on that, without each and every single one of those people, those memories would be just so different. And I mean, I don't care if you wrestled with us for 6 months or if you wrestled with
one
us for
time,
9 years.
yeah,
It's a time that I agree with Joe that helped shape a lot of who I am, as far as seeing qualities that I really enjoyed from people and seeing things
mhm,
that maybe I didn't enjoy so much. So yeah, definitely a huge shout out to all those guys. And like I said, we'll have to
yeah.
do a full episode and maybe even have somebody on. But
I'd love to have some of them guys come on,
um,
just to talk and share your memories, and just share your
and I just
feelings.
think it's like one of those situations where what a unique experience. I mean, who do we know other than the guys we wrestled with that has anything even comparable to that? I don't think there is.
Yeah.
Um,
This is the time we were doing this when we had other backyard wrestling companies that I want to say were either directly or indirectly started because of what we did.
right,
Word spread around what we
right.
did. There was some companies that, believe it or not, I had been asked to join, and we had entertained those ideas. If you
Keep me
Sure.
remember, we
posted.
went
I
to
was like, that
one.
sounds cool. Keep me posted.
We went to
Right.
one where, yeah, I don't remember much of the idea of it, but we were there and we were like, yeah, this is really not our style. But you do your thing, and then there was other ones that came from that.
Yeah.
And we look at it that as like, I look at that in the back burner and say we were indirectly or even directly responsible for some of those smaller backyard wrestling promotions, whether they took place in a living room or whether they were virtual or whether they took place hours away. Some part of ROA wrestling was interjected into that. And that, I think, stems from the camaraderie and the mutual friends. There were wrestlers in ROA wrestling that had friends outside of that group that were into professional wrestling,
Right.
that wanted to come in and do what we did, but they wanted to come in and do their own thing.
Right.
And they did. And that was the coolest part, is like we can
Well,
say,
and you know
holy
what?
shit,
Even beyond
we were
that,
part of
though,
that.
I mean, we had hundreds of YouTube subscribers,
Oh
thousands
yeah.
of views. I mean, it could have very easily maybe morphed into something more, but at that point, this is where the kicker begins, right? Across state lines, a lot of us were getting ready to go our separate ways. And I think that at that point, I mean, 2016, I moved in like May of 2017 to Florida originally, right in Orlando. And Joe was getting to ready to move from his childhood home. So Irene's home wasn't going to be able to be home base anymore. So that's kind of where we drew on starting this. I mean, at that point, I mean, from 2017 till now, we haven't lived in the same state. And
Mhm.
it's one of those situations where going from seeing somebody multiple times a week, definitely once a week at least, but seeing each other multiple times a week, the three of us, to nothing for years is very hard for a close knit group of three people, and maybe that's something that listeners can also connect with. How
Yeah.
many of us are separated across the country or maybe even internationally, where you wish you just had more time to connect with people. Hopefully this will be a space and a conduit for you to reach out and say, let me message them on Facebook and send them this episode. Let's reconnect and listen to this from the beginning. Let's talk more. I'm also hoping that, and maybe selfishly, that's something that comes out of this, not only for us, but for other people who
Yeah.
are looking for that reason to reconnect. And that's what
I
this
was
is,
I was just gonna say, it's really about the reconnection. Is like if sub like I said, our mindset is to do this because we want to have fun with each other. But I think there's a part of us each that looks and says, you know what? Maybe we're going to tell a story or we're going to bring up something that somebody's going to connect to and say, oh, I indirectly understand that, or I've been affected by that before. You
right.
guys really said something important. Let me send that to my buddy who I had this issue with and say, hey, what are your thoughts of this? So I really think that that's, something that I think I want to take away long term is
Yeah.
that did even if it was one time that it ever happened, just knowing that we were able to at least maybe hit one person and say, you know what, that shit made a lot of sense, man. Like I get it, and that to me, that's a win right there because that's not what we set out to do.
Right.
And if that becomes something that we have done, then that just means, hey, you know what? We're doing this for the right reasons, and that's why we do it. And we don't mean to, like I said, we're not here to offend anybody. We're not, but this is just us. This
Yeah,
is
we're
how
going to be
we are.
loose. I mean,
We're gonna be respect. I mean, we're gonna be respectful, but we're gonna be loose. We're gonna say things that, like Austin said, it's across state lines, but we're gonna say things that are gonna cross lines, and just know that it's not directed in any certain way. It's just that's just how we are. We shoot the shit. This is a conversation between the three of us that everybody want other people to hear, whether they hear it or they don't. We really don't
yeah.
care,
Yeah.
But I think it's that if we can take this and make it something more than just three of us having a conversation, even though we didn't set out to do that, I think that's gonna really make us stand out from everybody else. Is that okay? We have a voice here, and this should be an example. You can always sit together with somebody
Hmm.
and video chat with them, FaceTime, Zoom, Google's got all that stuff too. I'm sure,
And even just
just
that
lets you know,
connection, that
connect with each
connection
other.
with maybe even us. Maybe you feel compelled to reach
That's
out in the comments about the news article we're covering. And hey, guys, this was interesting. And I think this. Or hey, guys, I have this from Idaho that you guys should check out. I mean, that's all stuff that I think will come with time. But I hope that that environment is what we're able to foster here, somewhere where you can reconnect with familiar and strange faces.
yeah,
That's my goal. Anyway,
Yeah,
Screech, it seems like you agree.
yeah,
yeah.
I just think that
I
that's going to be the true benefit of this. And, whether people connect with some of the articles we go over or not, or whether they're funny, or some weeks they might be sad or, reflective, I want to be able to reach out to as many people as we can as far as the stuff that we're covering and the banter between the three of us. As I said in the very beginning, you know, our dynamic might, remind you of how you and your brother used to be, or, a long lost friend that you haven't talked to. Those are the things that I think at the end of the day that we're all three of us are trying to recapture.
yeah,
And hopefully that translates.
yeah. Screech, you got anything you want to add down there?
mm, not really. I wish I did, but no. I mean, you guys
No,
can
and
it
that's
well.
and
It's
that's perfect.
as long as
This
like
is
it comes off genuine. That's all I care about, and it will, because
yeah.
like we've been through a lot of shit together.
This is how
Yeah.
it's always been with us, is that me and Austin were the ones
And
that a lot of the time came up with the idea the way, and Screech was the kind of guy that, all right, buddy, here's the ball. Now just do your thing and run with it. And that's why I think Screech, you connect so well. Is you just find your place, man. You just fit in somewhere. You're like the puzzle piece. Like we dropped on the floor that we said we don't give a shit about finishing the puzzle, but you're like, no, man, put that fucking puzzle piece back in. Like
Right.
finish it. And that's you're that guy where it's like, you think of us as almost like the Three Stooges. Austin's a straight man. You
Yeah.
know, I try to be, as curly as I can. And you're Larry, man. You're just like, you're there, you're having a good time, you're getting slapped around here and there, but you make yourself known.
Well, and
And I think
without him, the
that's
show would suck.
exactly with, and that's the thing is like, Mo and Larry were always constant, Shemp come in, Curly come in, but at the end of the day, that's what we are. We've been this constant three friends that
We
have
used to do
never.
this thing called the Three Stupid Guys, I think it was called, where we would just record ourselves. Like I remember it was one night after Funk and Waffles. We there was like
The
a
three idiots. The
we would
three
try to yes,
Three
idiots.
three
idiots.
idiots, and we would try to
Yes.
we tried to go over the
Wow.
pole, and the object was to like how do we get over the pole, but actually not
Oh
try to
my
go over the
God.
pole.
We did that for
Like
Yes.
so fucking long that
do you remember
night.
the one we did in the park by your house, by you and Dallas's old house?
God. We did a lot of things at that
Where I
park.
was watching a
Wow, I
football game
forgot
that
about
wasn't
that.
happening and shit.
Yeah.
We did so many things at that
I
park.
wish the
That
video
park
existed.
is legendary
Oh
for
yeah.
what happened there. Heritage Park is so different now than what it used to be, but like
Got a
you
dog
could
park now.
Yeah, it's
well, and
nice.
I think one of the cool things too is that we always, and the best part was is the old house. You could see the house from the park.
Oh, we'd have
And
a
it's
crowd watching
yeah,
us from
yeah.
that
We
fucking
would have a
fence.
crowd.
That soccer
We'd have
guy
we'd
on the
have people
last
watching.
night when
Yes.
Right.
this last
But that's the
Yeah.
thing is we weren't doing it to do anything with it. We were doing it to have fun.
And
And
that's
it
the
only
same for
mattered,
this.
yeah. It only mattered in our world. And if
Right.
other people were interested, okay, hey, you're welcome to our world. But I think the point is for the three of us is yes, we're in different states, but we don't lose sight of who we are. We're doing this to keep connecting and keep building on our already solid friendship. So I think, we're at a point here where it's like, okay, you know what? Hopefully you all understand us a little bit more. And we'll touch on each other more. Screech will banter with us. We'll all banter. We're gonna say things, that we probably should have said that the first time, but that's why it's just gonna flow. None of us have a script in front of us, people. We're
No.
just
No.
we're just talking. And I think we've shared a lot with all of you today. Um, and I think it's a good starting point. You kind of know us now. You know what you're gonna get from us. You're gonna get real talk, and I'm excited for what we can do with this. I really am. I
Yeah, and
really am.
I think that's a good way to wrap it up is that, we've given you the introduction. You've kind of heard each of us speak a little bit. You know the direction we're going, how often we plan on uploading. I think now all it comes down to is let's get into it and
Let's
let's
do it.
let's plan to, get our episodes out there and build our
Yeah.
audience and just reconnect along the way.
Hmm. Yeah. What do you say, Screech? What's Screech's final thought?
Mm. I'm just I'm just happy we were able to do it. Like it took us a couple of months to get it situated,
Yeah.
but once like we were able to get things going, the ball just gotta it's
And
all
it's
about
here
just taking
now.
the next step. And that's like if you don't, you just die out. So it's good that we took
Right.
steps to get to
Yeah.
this.
Yeah.
And I think we did. We're here now. Step one was getting this done,
Yeah.
and now it's like, okay, and this is just the best part. It's fun. I had a great time.
Yeah, dude.
It
It
just
didn't
it
feel like
just
we were
it
even doing
doesn't
a podcast, really.
right. It
Right.
just felt like, we were talking, with each other, and that's what I wanted to feel. So, ladies and gentlemen, that just I think, as Austin said, leads us to the end here, but there will be, the next time we come around, you kind of get an idea of how this show works. And bear with us because we're going to be figuring out with you.
Yeah.
We're going to be figuring out what works, what doesn't work. We're going to be figuring out all of this. So we are on this adventure together. We are writing this story as we go, as we all go,
Yep.
and it's going to be have its hills. We're going to go up, we're going to go down. We're just going to have fun. The goal is to get from start to finish, but we're just going to let it flow. But just bear with us as we go through it these next couple of shows because we're going to be figuring things out. We're going to know what works, what doesn't work. and just stick around because we promise you're gonna have a good time just as much as we are.
Yep.
That's all that I have left to say. Screech, you got. Oh, go ahead, Screech.
One thing I do hope that the people that listen to us that don't know us at all, like they just stumbled upon us somehow because I don't want to say they don't have a life, but they probably don't. Um, I hope that like they kind of look at us eventually as like an old friend.
Yeah.
It's, they haven't really met. That's my favorite part about podcasts is like that you're like you somehow in your head think that that person is like an old friend, even though you don't actually
Right.
know that person. That's a cool thing about podcasts that I like.
Yeah, we want
Yeah.
people to pull up a chair. I mean,
Yeah.
that's the idea. We want to join you on your fucking terrible commute to work when you're sitting in traffic and you want to run everybody over in front of you. We want you to pop us on, pull up a chair, and let's get together.
Let's just talk. Yeah,
Yeah.
let's just get together. Let's just talk. Let's just have fun. Like we've all been there. We've sat in traffic. We want to listen to something good. We've
Right.
had a shit ass day. We're hoping that this is it. This might not be, but
And if it isn't, fuck you.
yeah, who gives a shit? You don't want to listen to us? Don't listen to us. We're not here to listen to everybody.
Um,
We're not going to be everybody's cup of tea.
yeah.
But just give us a shot because we would give you a chance. We would listen to your podcast if you ever put it together. We'd give it a go. So all we ask is just give it a listen. Whether you like it, you do. You don't ever have to listen again. It's what it is.
And not only give it a listen, make sure, guys, this is going to be our home base here on YouTube.
Hmm.
Please make sure if you're
Share
so
it.
inclined, yes, share us around. Give us a thumbs up on the video. Make sure you're subscribed. All that good stuff because everything will
Hit
be
that bell.
hit the
Yeah,
bell
leave the
notification.
feedback. Leave
Yep.
the feedback.
Drop us a
Let us know.
comment. Introduce yourself.
Right.
We want to know.
We'll probably maybe we'll who knows? We could maybe say, hey, thanks for that shout out, Jim,
Right.
Tim,
Right.
whatever your name's gonna be. You might not even leave a comment. Hell, it might be me, Smitty
Flagging
Yerberman
it for
Jensen.
spam.
Yeah,
Oh.
like Candy Sparks with 3 X's will leave a message on there and say, hey, great show, guys. Can't wait to bring me on. It's Candy Sparks. Yeah, well, that's for another time and another place. We'll get into that story because that
Well,
is a story.
Wait, is this a real thing?
oh God, Screech! It's
see,
going to be
even
a long
gonna be a long-
trek for us
Yeah.
here.
And it's definitely you're gonna hear some things at Screech because you did that time frame. You weren't.
He wasn't around.
You were not there yet.
He
So
wasn't around.
there's some wonderful story there, and
Oh God.
we'll cross that bridge when we get to it. But I'm done.
Yeah,
Appreciate everybody for listening. Thank you.
for those of you who stuck around. In the meantime,
Out of your mouth. It's not worth it.
yeah, please. But in the meantime and in between time, guys, for Joe Sweet, for Screech Monroe, I am Austin Skinner, and you know what? Let's just see how this goes.